Hey folks, and welcome back to Arcane Assist. This week it's myself, Evan, and a familiar face, Craig, playing some mercenaries, while I've got some Infernals. Why don't we start with your list, Craig?
Sure. Hey, everybody. I'm taking some Ashlynn today in Laylee's Resistance. So my list is Ashlynn with a battle group of Madelyn, Corbeau, and Blockader, with Anastasia di Bray, Gibbs, a Morrowan Archon, Ragman, a Thamarite Archon, 2 units of Thorn Gun Mages, and 2 units of Cinerators with their attachment. Laylee's Resistance, as you know, allows you to get 2 Protectorate, Crucible Guard, or Signar units, and they become friendly Laylee's models. Laylee's models gain Pathfinder, and I get to place that an AoE, a 5-inch AoE, up to 18 inches up the board, and deploy a small or medium-based solo in it. And Gun Mages gain Sniper. So there's a lot going on in this list. It started as a tech solution to Circle, hence the Cinerators with their takedown, but it wound up having a bunch of really cool, weird tech in it that has served me well quite a bit. Evan, how about you?
All right. So, I'm playing Malakov in Hearts of Darkness today. This theme is wild, for the record. Just playing in as Khador in it, I feel like I have just so many options. It's crazy, and just depending on what I take, this list could go in so many different directions. But what we've gone for today is a bit of a attrition-y, sort of a brick that kind of wants to slowly make its way up the table, contest scenario, and then once you're there, it can just clean you up and then take a counterpunch really well because of Malakov's feat. So the list itself is Malakov with a Destroyer and a Spriggan. We went for some combined arms because our melee is already really good with Khador, having some extra guns for open fire and some neat little tricksy shots, always good. We've got an Infernal Gate, mostly for the place effect for an extended threat range on those melee jacks, but it also has a really good gun and can bring back some of the Solus models we have in the list. Valin Hawk is a staple for the faction. Tactician on everything is crazy, so is Brother's Keeper, as well as 2 Umbral Guardians off to the side. We've got a Manowar Kovnik, which we'll get to later in terms of what the point of that is, but we've also got Sorsha Zero with Beast 09. Beast 09 is really weird with Malakov's feat because Beast can take a shot from Shield Guard, hyper aggressive, and move from the feet, or he doesn't even have to Shield Guard. He can just feet move, hyper aggressive. He can go places you wouldn't expect him to on that feat. Not to mention, Sorsha Zero brings Boundless Charge to the table, which makes my threat range even longer. So we get basically +6 on a jack with Escort and Boundless Charge in the Infernal Gate. It's pretty good. Hermit, there's some weird tech with him. With Malakov, you can give him Tactical Supremacy, so that gives him his coveted Repo 3, which is excellent with Master of Ruin. But also just crazy feat interactions. Like, the Hermit gets hit on the feet and then just wanders over so that Master of Ruin isn't tagging any of my things anymore. It's pretty sweet. Manowar Demo Corps with Dragovich is just a unit that hits like a truck. I'd probably rather be running Howlers, but they're not available yet. So we're kind of standing in with Demo Corps here. We get Desperate Pace from the Kovnik. Yeah, they're a solid unit with some good effects, but not quite the thing that Howlers are. And we've got a Griever Swarm to use for Accumulator, as well as just a nice little tricksy unit that can go and scalpel out some things. Other than that, I think we're ready to head on into the game.
Mm-hmm.
So, I won the roll-off and elect to go first, so I'm deploying here. Malakov is going in the middle. He's going to have a cohort of jacks around him with the Demo Corps up to the top side of the table, as well as the gate going in front of the stuff on the bottom side of the table. We're also going to have the Kovnik up top. Valin will be a little central. Grievers are going to be around the jacks somewhat centrally so that they can provide Accumulator. And as will the Hermit be near the middle, just because he's going to be good with his Master of Ruin just up in the center of the board. And aside from that, you can see the table. We've got an obstruction up in the top zone with a wall down to the left from it. Another obstruction to the far left with your personal theme benefit rubble next to it. Forest dead center, wall to the right, trench to the left, rubble in the bottom zone with a shallow water in the left-hand side.
Yeah. So you don't have any AD on your end.
I do not.
So we're going to get over to me. And so I'm going to put the Blockader centrally as well, sort of counter-deploying against the what's it called? The gate. Ashlyn's going sort of centrally. I'm trying to work around that big obstruction in near my deployment zone. The big thing is I have sort of two independent modules that I can sort of fan out. So one Cinerator and one gun mage unit sort of can hold a flank on their own. So we're going to sort of fan those guys out, debating what the best sort of way that is, and then also figure out where I can plug those holes with Archons. My random support solo is going to sort of deploy in the center. I'm opting not to deploy anybody in the rubble because there's not a lot of great use for that right now. I don't have a ton of good combat solos, and I don't want to like randomly lose, say, Gibbs to deviating shot top of one. So we're just going to deploy some stuff back and sort of be a bit safer about things. Sort of looking at the situation here, and I think I'm going to opt to swap the position of the two Archons, because the Thamarite Archon's job is to try to rob that Gate of Souls.
Makes sense. What did you opt for your objective?
I went for healing.
I personally went for Pathfinder, just because not everything's going to want to charge all the time for Boundless Charge, and the Demo Corps don't really have an option for it, neither does the Hermit. So Gate starts off strong with a nice 3 souls. And we're just going to hop into the turn. The theme also allows us to start off with our upkeeps out. So Malakov has Escort on himself. I opt to put Tactical Supremacy on the Demo Corps. This is a mistake. It should just be on the Hermit the whole time, and I will swap to that in a later turn. But it starts off on the Demo Corps. Just, I'm thinking, okay, they can run, they get Vengeance, then they can charge, and then Repo 3 afterwards. But that's a far later in the game thing, and it should just start on the Hermit so that he gets farther up with Master of Ruin earlier in the game. Jacks are going to run fairly centrally. We've got the Spriggan, followed by the Destroyer and Beast 09. Then we are moving up the Grievers, just in and about, checking out where they can go.
Oh, is that a Veil of Mists cloud in the center there?
Yes, we also put down Veil of Mists with Malakov to block off a large portion of line of sight with the Forest's help. So we're fairly safe right now. This Forest is going to help us a lot with maintaining line of sight blockage. We're going to move up the Hermit into this blob of Demo Corps. As you can see, the 2 Umbral Guardians are still on my tray, so they are not in the game yet. Yeah, that's about where I'm at. I'm just trundling on up, playing it slow and steady. Don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. We have pretty good threat ranges on our Jacks, so we're okay with hanging back a little bit.
Yeah. So this turn's going to be fairly technical for me, despite being an early turn. Just sort of asking Evan about general threat ranges. They vary between like 11 to 15. So I'm just sort of putting things out and seeing what that sort of looks like, what I can and can't do. My Cinerators can sort of walk up and, with help from Gibbs, gets repositioned 3 and feign death. And they're going to move forward like that while remaining in shield wall. So they can sort of move 7 inches in shield wall, which is a pretty good thing for a speed 4 unit to be able to do. Next, we're going to I'm going to quicken the far unit of Cinerators and also determine where I'm going to put Ash. Because, again, I don't want to get her charged by a Jack. I do have access to Admonition, so I do cast that on myself just in case something weird happens here. But just going to wander up here, quicken that unit, Admo myself, and I'll also reposition because, again, Ashlynn is Laylee's, so she'll be able to reposition into the zone, or reposition to the trench, rather, and sort of be in a good position to affect the game later on. So these Cinerators are going to Actually, no, not Cinerators. I want to sort of do them later. We're just sort of, again, figuring out the best way to unpack this turn because a lot needs to happen fairly safely. So Gibbs is going to move up in order to apply the leadership at a different area. These guys are now going to walk up 6 and then reposition 3. I'm just going to check my my Gibbs range here. My Gibbs template is a 7. And then they're going to repo forward. So they've moved up 9 inches and are in shield wall. Again, out of range of anything that matters. One of your jacks can charge the Cinerators and give me vengeance for basically free, so I don't think you'd actually go ahead with that.
Nope. Not about that.
So yeah, the 2 Archons sort of move up centrally as well. The Thorn Gun Mages are going to go very... Blockader's going to go very wide, because I need to give him some space. But also, it's going to probably force the direction of the jacks to be either away or towards it. The jacks are going to be in the center, and with this Blockader's threat ranges, I basically have almost free reign of where I'm going, and the other jacks don't necessarily have the same level of flexibility. Remember, the Blockader has 4 inches of reach, so yeah, that's my turn. Just moving up.
So first thing I check, if the Destroyer can be ported 2 inches by the gate and then stand and aim to shoot the Thamarite Archon. We're about a quarter of an inch out of that, so instead we're just going to move up and boost a hit. And hope for a good scatter if we don't hit, because there's a lot of like valuable stuff just kind of around that Thamarite Archon that I would be more than happy to just hit with a blast. I'm debating whether or not I want to keep the Veil of Mists. I decide it's actually in a really good spot for me right now, so I'm just going to hold on to it. So we opt to upkeep that. I think we drop Tactical Supremacy here, and we go on with powering everything up and continuing. So, this turn, again, we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves with placing our models because we're looking to do this slow and steady. We want to just contest, make sure that they're not scoring any points, but not get too aggressive, like not give them too many things. So we're going to put most of the Demo Core ringing the top zone. Here goes the Destroyer shot. It will miss the Thamarite Archon, but it'll scatter fairly nicely, and I believe it lands on Ragman and a Thorn Gun Mage.
Yeah. So we spend some time messing around with this template here as we determine the best way to sort of accurately...
Teamwork.
Yeah.
Teamwork is the answer. So we hit a Gun Mage and Ragman. I boost damage on Ragman, scalpel him right out, and I also end up killing a Gun Mage. We put the only 4-inch AoE that we have on us back under the jack for Veil of Mists. Thankfully, that little point with the forest is a nice little reminder of where that template is. Spriggan moves on up behind the forest. Again, safe from charges, out of line of sight. And you may say, wait, that Destroyer's in the Veil of Mists. Yes, it is. That's fine. We haven't ported it yet this turn, so we're going to just teleport it back behind once we're good to do that with the gate. So Shock Troopers, we put up a Sacrificial Shock Trooper for Vengeance. We put up the other Shock Trooper, or not Shock Troopers, Demo Corps, that's what they're called, into the top zone. And we're just going to sit there, hoping for some vengeance. And then Grievers are going to swarm on up. One of them is going to be in the rubble in the zone. The rest of them are just going to kind of blob up around my jacks, provide accumulator in later turns. I believe Malakov goes and says open fire on the Destroyer on the same target. It scatters into some Cinerators, which is exactly where I don't want it to go. We roll damage because it is possible that I damage them on a 11 or 12 in the back arc of some of them because those ones don't get shield wall. Don't trigger Vengeance. I didn't trigger Vengeance, so we're good. Excellent.
Doesn't have a chance of comically screwing up that turn.
Yep, that would have been very bad. Hermit gets Tactical Supremacy. Malakov activates, or continues moving. He scoots, continues to be behind the wall. Valin walks up behind him.
I point out the the threat range of the Blockader, they'll lose the game. Threat range of the Blockader sprays is 17, so just making sure that Malakov is not there. Sackbon helps.
Yeah, Sucker even is great against sprays. Beast will move up behind the Griever. Still isn't quite in the zone. Just staying out of any potential threat ranges. We port the Destroyer from the gate back behind the Cloud. And it's off to your turn, Craig.
Yep.
You may be like, why didn't you feat? This is a bit of a feat first and lose situation. We both have defensive feats, which means that typically speaking, you want to be the one that pops yours second so that you get more work out of your feat than they do out of theirs.
Right. My feat also has an offensive aspect, though, which is useful.
It's true.
So I'm sort of debating on what I'm going to do here. There's a lot of stuff here. I don't know what I'm going to do. So there's a few things that sort of jump out at me immediately. One, that one demo core is actually in a very convenient place for me because Ashlynn can use the spell Distraction on it to drop that unit's def or mat and def by 2, which means that they're going down to mat 5. So on feat turn, that means they're hitting nothing or like very close to nothing, which I'm pretty okay with. I'm also figuring out what I can do with Anastasia. I'm looking at that Kovnik back there as being a decent target for her, because if she can get rid of him, then that means that unit of demo core starts threatening a lot less distance, which is kind of what I want. If I can make them more honest, this gets a lot better for me. So we're just going to sort of figure out some distances. There's a lot of random measurements here of me determining what I do and sort of don't want to do this turn. I'm thinking I need to feat, but I don't know what the shape of that one looks yet. If I can get rid of that Griever there, that's a point for me. But there's 2 Umbral Guardians that haven't been placed on the table yet,
as well as a shield guarding Beast 09.
Yeah, so I'm looking at that and be like, okay, maybe I can throw a random shot out at it. Be in a position where that Beast can't hyper-aggressive forward anywhere exciting, so I just need to deal with that one. Maybe they'll get placed in the zone so I can actually charge it with my Cinerators, things like that. But it's def 17, which isn't ideal. I mean, Ashlynn's feat sort of makes the concept of defense weird and tricky, but yeah, we're still just figuring it out. So yeah, we decide to ambush Anastasia up there to let her annoy that side of the board. If nothing else, she's a piece that can contest after potentially dealing with that Kovnik and everybody else. So we're going to upkeep my spells. It took me a while to sort of figure out there. I don't allocate anything to the Blockader because I don't get anything super cool with it. I do want the Cinerators to sort of be able to walk forward and shield wall, like a good decent distance of like 9 or at least 6. All depends on where Gibbs needs to be at the time. Yeah, just sort of figuring things out here still. This was a very technical turn for me, like I was saying. So like everything needs to at least go in a way that is somewhat favorable to me, because Evan gave me basically nothing. And I need to be able to sort of make lemonade from this situation I'm in. So he out-threatens me by a significant amount, which isn't an ideal situation, but at least I can counterpunch fairly okay. So yeah, I'm just doing more stuff here with Ashlynn. Like, does she walk up, hand cannon the guy, and then be in a place that that Beast can't hyper-aggressive into me, which is not an ideal circumstance, because Beast is murderous. Even with my feet up, I don't trust him to not... I mean, he'll never crit me, but still.
I don't know, man. I'm rolling, 6 dice? You only get to drop 2 of them.
True. Like you were actually guaranteed to crit, I think, at that point, or very close to it.
It's really weird. The math on roulette is crazy, especially when you get to add in, like, this effect adds another additional die. So, like, if Beast goes into a warrior model under roulette and boosts to hit, he's rolling 6 dice against that model, and you get to choose 2 of those dice to go away.
Yeah. So when you're going to hit, I just might prevent you from critting. So yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to repo the back 6 guys and sort of move them out of the way a little bit. Just sort of shuffle around. Again, I want to get the Blockader in a position. I don't score that middle zone. Putting the Blockader in there would be suicide at this point, so we're not going to bother with that. I kind of have a decent idea for a feat turn. We'll get to it in a bit. But yeah, they're going to walk up, just being very sort of cautious because I don't want to just randomly lose models to things that don't matter. So the Blockader's going to go. It's going to walk up. He's going to dial up some shots on...
So the side on which you choose to dial these up is important. You get 1 on the right side and 3 on the left, which means if you choose to start out with the right side, and you hit with it, then I can plop the Umbral Guardian in that arc, so you just can't possibly remove it at that point, which is what happens.
Yeah. So that wasn't super exciting. I just hit an Umbral Guardian, set it on fire, and did a bunch of damage to it, or did a couple damage to it. Nothing super exciting. If I was planning on using the feat, I should have probably done that after, just sort of as a note. And the rest of the turn, we're not going to be interacting with a ton of stuff other than Anastasia going into the back arc of that Kovnik over there. It's going to keep looking at that one. Oh yeah, here's where I'm deciding whether or not I try to go into the back of Dragos or back of Anastasia or back of the Kovnik. The odds aren't great for killing either of them, but the odds of the downside is way worse. I mean, Vengeance is getting triggered either way because of that one, the one demo core right up there, but still. I don't want to give them free shots on Anastasia. So, Ashlynn's going to walk up. She's going to... looking at some situations here, do I want to feed on the gate? If I do that, I'm really far up the board. There's like a bunch of things that can get to me without trying, which I don't love the concept of.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to... You can get to me, but I want you to try for it. We're going to pop my feet because effectively I'm going to just try to do what I can here. She's going to distract that unit. It lands. So now they're at 5. And then she's going to just shoot it with her hand cannon. Does a couple points to it and procs Vengeance.
All right.
All right. So next we're going to just... I keep thinking in my head that these are 5-box models, but the Man of Wars are emphatically not.
Correct. They are very much 8-box models.
So I'm just sort of looking at the situation here and determining what I'm going to do with the Cinerators as well. Because I think I'm just going to try to put as much stuff in the center of the board as I feasibly can and make it so that in order to get through it, you need to get through like a handful of rouletted like Cinerators, rouletted Archons are also super obnoxious to remove on feet.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. The Morrowan Archon has a small version of Awe
that affects everybody regardless of their living status, which is
yes.
Nice and useful. So they're going to charge in on that one, what's called the Demo Core. It's going to just crush them on the first hit, and now they're going to use their mini feat, which is defensive formation. So they're going to sort of just fan out a little bit to sort of force attacks in weird spots.
That wall on the top side really helping you out.
Yeah, because now you need some huge number and potentially with roulette, which is going to make that even less likely. So the Thamarite Archon is going to... Oh yeah, here's Anastasia. Anastasia's going to go in there, just try to do some damage. She rolls exactly the expected amount of damage here and leaves the...
Kovnik on 2 boxes.
Yep. So, not ideal, but not the worst thing in the world either. He now at least has to respect her, or he dies to a free strike.
Yeah, basically.
So Thamarite Archon's going to walk up, is going to be dialing up a shot, determining who I want to shoot. I was thinking, I shoot the gate, and then I'm like, no, there's a shield guard there, on top of a shield guard that hasn't gotten placed yet. So it feels like that's a huge mistake. I'm going to make you pop an Umbral Guardian if nothing else, but
I do shield guard. You shoot my Umbral Guardian.
Yeah.
I shield guard it to Beast.
Yeah, and I failed to break armor.
And you do not, you don't do any damage. So he doesn't get to hyper-aggressive 2 inches forward, which would have been sweet.
Yeah. The Morrowan Archon runs to sort of engage a bunch of things while being near the edge of roulette. I'm going to move a couple of gun mages into... one gun mage into the zone. That gun mage is heavily covered by roulette, and that, Demo Corps is distracted, so have at it.
Yep. It's a spot to be in.
And that other unit's going to sort of run around to the side to sort of flank in later and apply its sort of weird techie shots.
All right, so on to my turn, I believe, at this point, right?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Gibbs walked up and drifted an AoE onto the Griever that I wanted to kill earlier.
Yes, so Gibbs finally does take out that Griever. I do believe at that point you flip it over to me.
Yep.
So my turn. Roulette makes this hard. While I've prevented you from scoring a point like I wanted to, and I get defeat after you like I wanted to, I have to be very careful with where I'm putting my models now. The Hermit wants to walk up into the center of that blob of Cinerators and provide the -2 armor so that I'm not dealing with armor 21. And with the way my feat works, I'm likely only going to get hit once by an attack while still in Master of Ruin. So I'm not too worried about it affecting my own models. So we walk up with all our Demo Corps, get into a formation where some of them are going to be able to get into the back there and make some attacks on the Gun Mage. Some of them are going to be able to get into the Cinerators. One of them will be in the back of the Cinerators, and we'll see what happens. The Hermit's going to get Pathfinder from the objective so that he can go into that middle forest without much trouble. Because that forest is basically going to just be the spot where you can, provide Master of Ruin to everything I want it to. And we're just going to keep on keeping on. I want to kill this Morrowan Archon first because of all the hit debuffing it's providing. That's likely a plan that's going to involve Beast here. I have a bit of a brain fart where I'm like, okay, I know what I'll do. I'll teleport him into the Morrowan Archon outside of roulette range, and then I'll open fire him. So I go ahead and do that, and then once I get later in the turn, I'm like, wait a second. He's not part of Malakov's battle group. I can't open fire him. So I guess we're just making attacks on the Morrowan Archon like this. Which is fine. So, looking at things a little further, I'm like, this destroyer doesn't really have much of a job. The gate is going to shoot at a Cinerator. Doesn't do much, because he still gets a shot after porting Beast.
It does a couple points of damage, procs Vengeance. But, that's going to happen this turn anyway.
Yep, that was on the docket already. Kovnik turns to face Annie and gives out Desperate Pace, so he's not making any attacks anyway. The plan here is for Valin to just go and charge and kill her, and it'll be fine. The Hermit walks up, does Master of Ruin, is now debuffing all of the Cinerators and also some of my models, but again, hopefully not an issue. Walking forward with the now speed 6 effectively Demo Corps, not charging because we don't have any Pathfinder, so we can't get over the wall if we charge. So we're just gonna take a little scoot. Drago is gonna go super deep. We're also gonna pop the mini feat this turn so that we have some Sanguine Bond. All of the Demo Corps except for one are in roulette, and we're just gonna start swinging. Yep. So
you're Mat 5 across the board here.
Mat 5. For the most part, I'm only needing 6s because you're def 11. Mm-hmm. However, some of them are going to have to go over the wall, and Drago himself is just going to try to wing that gun mage just across the table. So we miss a couple of times, hit once with the front row into the Cinerator, don't do a huge amount of damage. Drago fails to kill that gun mage, so the other Demo Corps member decides to just go into the back of a Cinerator, and I think he cleans his clock. He just crushes him. And then another one goes in the front Cinerator and unfortunately misses. So that's that. Not as much work as we would have liked to get done with the Demo Corps, but,
You take what you can get.
Exactly. Again, not quite going with Valin Hawk. We still want to provide tactician to everything. This is the moment where I realized, no, I can't open fire the Beast of 9, so I'm going to go in with a Destroyer. He accumulates one, goes in, boosts to hit his initial, and then misses, and then buys an attack, and then misses again, because he actually needs 9s to hit, which is a high number.
Yeah, especially under roulette.
Exactly. Def 16 on the Morrowan Archon. Well, effectively, because it's 14 base, and then has the non-discriminatory awe effect. The Spriggan is going to go in. He's going to accumulate one. He's boundless charged for Pathfinder, so he doesn't have to worry about it too much. And he just goes on in, crushes a Cinerator.
Just checking the thing here. Looks like it missed the first attack because of... or was that the way that works? Oh, no, sorry.
It hit because of a brutal charge. No,
Powerful.
The other one. Powerful charge.
Yeah.
And then the other attack kills the other Cinerator. So we managed to clean up 2 with the Spriggan. I forget dual attack here, which sucks because I probably could have taken out a gun mage or 2 with it, but live and learn. Beast, I first move up a little bit to get in the zone, and then we're like, no, we put him there for a reason so that we can stay out of roulette, and then I move him back a little bit. And then we absolutely annihilate this Morrowan Archon. We get the critical freeze on the first attack we make, and we absolutely crush him.
On the plus side, that Morrowan Archon is 8 points. It just tied up about 30. So
It's true. So, Grievers go up. They're just getting up front to be in the way. Prevent some charge lanes, that kind of thing. I end up debating whether or not I want to charge in with the Umbral Guardian, and I choose not to, just because I want shield guards closer to my side of the table at this point.
And basically at that point, all it would do is proc vengeance.
Exactly. I don't want to charge into the Cinerators and be like, have some vengeance. Make some ranged attacks. I believe targeting the Thamarite Archon. I do a little bit of damage.
It was a 5-man CRA.
Yeah, 5-man CRA from a Griever that was outside of roulette. So, doing good on that one. And yeah, that's more or less the turn. The Valin Hawk charge. So we charge in. We're cavalry, so we need a boosted 7 to hit. And we roll a 5. This is bad. Because the plan was Valin kills Annie, repos 3, and then is ready to provide tactician to the rest of my army for next turn.
Now he's stuck.
But now he's stuck there because he's kind of the only way that she's dying, and I can't just let a backstab model run around in my back line. But Malakov has feeded this turn. We're just checking exactly what's in that or going to be in that. I play fairly far back with Malakov. Probably am able to go further up than I am, but I'm playing a little bit scared just because of how many guns are in Craig's list. Also, probably worth putting a Valimus down on that center forest just because I have 2 models that I want to move with my feet in there, but I don't end up doing that. So instead, we're just going to open fire the Destroyer and try to get some scatters that we like. We do a little bit of damage, but not a huge amount. We just shoot the objective.
Yeah. Clips a Cinerator and doesn't do any damage, or does some damage. Not really sure.
Not relevant, really. Yeah. It does a thing, and it doesn't do a whole lot. And we're there. So we're feeded. We're contesting the zone still. No points scored on either side. Heading into the bottom of 3.
Yeah. So that wasn't great. It wasn't bad, though. I only lost a handful of Cinerators that turn, and things are now at least in threat ranges, so I can actually interact with them. I can pretty safely get the bottom zone scored. Top zone's going to be a toughie because of the Sanguine Bond mini feat, but I have some tricks to deal with that. So that Unit of Vengeances is going to swing on that one demo core guy who I hit and do a bunch of damage to. He opts to die.
Yep. I was like, no, that's too much damage to swing around with Sanguine Bond, so I opt not to.
One thing that I also realize here is that the Hermit is in a fantastic place for me. He's applying Master of Ruin to the Spriggan, a couple of the demo core, and is about maybe a tenth of an inch out from applying it to that Devastator up there. Devastator? Destroyer.
Destroyer.
So if the Blockader, for instance, were to hit that Devastator with an attack, it can actually push it into Master of Ruin before the damage roll.
Yep. It sure can.
So some other things we're looking at is just what we can do this turn. We're allocating 2 to the Blockader, upkeeping Quicken because we kind of need that to sort of get places. The feat's going to be obnoxious, but I think I can work around it in some fashion. I can pretty safely take out Dragos, assuming that Evan lets him die, but because he is out of the feat.
Yep.
And here's where I recognize what is and is not in Master of Ruin range.
Yeah, just like quarter of an inch less than that.
Yeah.
Out.
So I'm sort of realizing what that means for me is that the loss of Ragman is a lot less devastating than would originally have been when dealing with an army with this much armor. So I'm seeing how best to exploit that, and also seeing who is in feat. Originally, my thought was to push the Hermit with a Gun Mage, but then I realized that would actually push him into feat. So I'm gonna try another option. So the Thamarite Archon's gonna go. He's gonna take a shot at I think it's like the Devastator there. And I think you opt to place the Umbral Guardian at some point. Oh, sorry, no, it was Eruption of Ash on the Griever Swarm there in the center that you decide to,
Yes.
Because otherwise it would remove that one from play and also kill like 2 others.
Yes. This is, which would be bad. Also, I want to place it in the charge lane of where you want to land the Blockader. We make a mistake here, but we come back and correct it later.
Yep.
The Umbral Guardian should die from this shot because it gets placed in Master of Ruin range. We will get back to that in a little bit when you say us pull it later, but currently, ignore where that Umbral Guardian is.
Yeah. Anastasia decides to finish the job and gets rid of that Kovnik. Maybe I could have went in on Valin, but I think I had better options of just removing a model from the table.
Yep. Seems fair to me.
So now we're going to move the Cinerators in, and the job of the Cinerator this turn is to put as much damage into that unit as possible. If I can kill that unit or very close to it, I'll be okay with this situation. Yep. So the first one charges into Dragos and absolutely
does 12 billion damage.
Yeah, and he dies.
That's too much damage, so he's dead. Which means the unit loses Vengeance. But Sanguine Bond is a pulse, not an aura, so they still get that for the rest of the turn.
Yep.
Thankfully.
Do a bunch of damage to that one Cinerator or the one Demo Core.
Demo Core is in my feet, so I do choose to move this. The gate is a huge model, and I do bump it there. It'll happen in your games, folks.
Yeah, it's big enough. It's like the church and Protectorate.
Yep.
So I'm debating what I want to do with my Gun Mages, because they have both barrels, which means they're dice even on the Master of Ruin Demo Core, which is not a bad place to be. Seeing what I can do here. Also looking at the situation of, there was the Umbral Guardian realizing it's supposed to die.
Yep. Yeah, because you went to make another attack on it, and we were like, wait a second.
It has exactly 2 boxes left. Because, I was just sniped it to death if need be, but why bother?
When it's already dead.
Yeah. So I throw a both barrel Black Penny into the Demo Core there. Takes like 5 damage.
Leaves it on 1 box.
And determining what you want to do with it.
Almost. I was like, yeah, if I can move up and engage you. I know you have Gunfighter, but it forces you to attack this one as opposed to the other one. And instead I decided to just pull back with him.
Yeah. Importantly, he's no longer engaged because your feat gives parry.
Indeed.
The exciting part about the giving parry thing is he's no longer engaged, so I can, instead of using Black Penny, use an incendiary shot type.
It's true.
So just figuring out what I'm going to do there, I think it's basically going to be something along the lines of set one on fire, reduce the health of that unit to not very healthy at all, The Cinerators are not in a great position in terms of board space, but we'll see how that goes. So we're just going to make it a shot. You wind up splitting the damage a bunch on these. I'm doing single shots for reasons I'm not entirely sure of.
Yeah, you're like, okay, the Man of War has 1 box left. I will snipe it. And I was like, that 1 damage will go to a different Man of War.
Yeah. I figured that was going to happen. But based on the armor values involved, it's typically better off just doing, like, rolling damage.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah. Especially with Master Rune, you're probably doing 3 points a pop as opposed to 1 with snipe. But, habits.
Yeah, matters more for shocks.
Yeah.
So that was pretty fruitful. I think when all is said and done on that unit, 1 is down to 4, 1 is down to 1, and the last one is also down to 1 box. So it's well enough for 1 gun mage to sort of mop up the situation afterwards.
Exactly.
So we're just going to do some shots here. The first gun mage is going to make a couple random shots on, like, Griever Swarms. Kills the first guy. Second one doesn't, because, again, I need a huge number to hit that guy. Next one's going to shoot the
Umbral Guardian.
Umbral Guardian. Hits.
Oh, no,
no,
was
sorry.
A Griever.
Yeah.
You did hit a Griever. You lied.
I did. Fred, I absolutely crushed the hit roll there. Which was nice. I wanted him out of the way.
Yeah.
Then I do, like, a point or so to that Umbral Guardian. Then the Cinerator's going to go in. These are the quick incinerators, so they get to go far. 9 inches. So we're going to throw 3 guys onto Beast 09 and 3 guys on the Umbral Guardian. Defensive Strike. Procs Vengeance.
Yeah. Woo!
So yeah, the rest of the unit sort of moves up. And so we're going to start with, like, the furthest guy who's going to, like, absolutely just wreck that Umbral Guardian. Then the first one's going to go in, charge the Beast 09, do some damage. Then he's going to feet back. This one's a weird one because he doesn't have Pathfinder in that rubble, so he can't get all the way out of the threat range of the...
Yeah, so I'm still in the range of 1 of the Cinerators.
Mm-hmm. Who also hits and does some damage. Actually a lot. And then Beast goes back sort of in a way to be in reserve for later. Because you're like, you can't get the Blockader on me at least. And with all the Cinerators in the way.
Yeah, not that this is even where you were thinking of putting the Blockader, but
yeah,
now that there's a nice little hole carved out for him.
And now I decide to use the mini feat on that bottom unit, the defensive formation.
Yes.
And tie up that Beast for the next turn. Because there's not a lot left on that side of the board that can feasibly deal with that, with 2 Cinerators that are kind of in his face. So I'm going to pull a few of them back, put a couple of them forward, and leave one guy sort of just hanging out on his own. His job is to proc Vengeance. So Ash at this point, I'm now going to play very safely. If I can quicken that Blockader, it gets basically base to base with both of those jacks. Not entirely, but very close to it. Your feet allows you to sort of move back, but I also can push you a couple inches, so it lets me get an extra hit on you.
Yep.
That would otherwise not be super feasible. I think I can definitely do a bunch of damage to both the Devastator and the
Destroyer
and the Spriggan. Yeah. Kid or that chassis Jack. Just I don't.
Juggernaut with cannon and also another guy.
Yeah. So she's going to quicken the Blockader and move into that rubble terrain. So the Blockader's going to go. He's going to charge the Devastator or Destroyer.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to mess it up every time I talk about it.
Yep. It's all good. All of the Jackson KR start with D, except for like 2. There's Devastator, Destroyer, Decimator,
And Juggernaut.
And Juggernaut. Yes, you're right.
So I'm going to charge the Destroyer because I can push it on hit into Master of Ruin to get effectively a PS24 hit.
Yup. And this is gonna hurt. You do 15 damage and take out his Cortex.
Yep.
And then he walks away, and he's like, that hurt a lot.
So I'm like, okay, cool. This is good. This is the best situation I can do, so I can make the rest of the attacks on the Spriggan.
Spriggan
is basically dice plus 3 because you're 21 with the shield.
Yep. And here's again. I should have put Veilimists on this forest so that I could get full moves out of my feet instead of just partial moves.
Yeah.
Uh,
Because I'm basically pushing you an inch, and then you're moving 2.
yes.
Which means that I'm able to keep you in my front arc for longer.
Yep.
So I hit you a couple more times, do a bunch more damage. Less so than you would expect from dice +3, but there are some fairly uninspiring rolls here.
It's true. But you managed to cripple everything in the middle. Like the 2 to the 4 is completely damaged, and I only have my 1 and my 6. So I just have my arms left once you're done beating the crap out of this Spriggan.
And critically, the last attack was a crit that knocked you down, because crit smite is what it can do with Rocket Smash.
Yep.
Knocks him down and cripples his Cortex. So he is now a paperweight.
He sure is.
Also does the damage to the Hermit.
Indeed. Yeah. Throwing a Warjack onto the Hermit is a surefire way to get some damage on him.
But the Hermit is now knocked into your feet, so you weren't knocked down. Because
Correct.
it was least displaced into it.
Yeah, he was bumped into the feet.
So that was sort of where we are. I score a point for the bottom zone because it was the other move what was contesting it. And yeah, now for fire.
All right, so fire check goes out on one model and the other one just doesn't die. The gate's going to get a couple souls here. And we're going to move into our turn. We lost a lot more on that turn than we thought we were going to. Not being able to move out of the forest really hurt us, and the one attack from the Blockader just crippling my Cortex means that I don't really have any heavies that are in a position to deal with this Colossal. So I'm going to just... I really only have chip damage on it. Like, the Destroyer has no Cortex, so I can't make multiple attacks with it other than using Open Fire, which isn't great. Beast is all tied up with these Cinerators, so I can try to clear out a Cinerator or 2. But it's not like I don't have a lot of tools over there to do that. Like the gate can shoot into melee. Not great, needs a 9 to hit. But I don't really have a whole lot of other options. So we're just kind of we're going to go into the tank a little bit here and figure out what we can do. Valin has to deal with Anastasia, so that he can actually start coming over to this side of the table and providing Tactician, because not having Tactician this turn sucks. So he does just that. 7 to hit, dice +1, murderizes Anastasia, and he repos as far as he possibly can to try to get closer to the middle of the table. Unfortunately, not quite as far as we would like. The Shock Troopers are a little bit, they're in a target-rich environment. But it's all about which ones we want to go after. The one Shock Trooper is caught in the melee of a Cinerator. The other 2 happen to be out of that now. Even if I Boundless Charge them, Ashlynn is out of range. Had I had my Desperate Pace model still, maybe. But no.
Also, Parlay was up from...
Parlay was up from Madelyn, so that wasn't even an option. That leaves us with another question of where did they go now? So likely one's going to get Pathfinder from the objective, go into the Blockader and just put some points in. The other one is going to charge into Cinerator, and the other one is going to go behind the Cinerators and get a back arc bonus and ignore that shield wall. Down on the bottom side, we're still figuring out what we want to do. I think the plan is to just cleave those 2 Cinerators with Beast in half and then get teleported into the zone by the gate. That is just, it's an incredible ability. Just spend a soul, do a 2-inch place if you're within 5 inches is just, it's so good.
Yeah. The Devastator stood up, or the Spriggan stood up, swung at the
Yes.
Archon and missed, so it dodged.
Yep. We remembered to do dual attack this time, so we take out some gun mages with some scatters. We don't kill the Archon with some melee attacks, but that's fine. We just forfeited movement, so we stood still. Up next, Griever Swarm's going to go. This is kind of where we put in the nail in the coffin on Beast being able to get into the Blockader, because we put a lot of Grievers in the way, and we don't have Tactician over there. So, that's that. We were kind of already foreclosed on that plan regardless. Like, even if we wanted to place him 2 inches and then charge with Boundless Charge, like, we're taking a free strike from a Cinerator at that point, and that is bad, to say the least.
He's taken some damage, so like a bad roll would cripple.
So we one-shot the Cinerator with a Griever, which is fun, and then put, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 damage into the Blockader.
Yeah. Like, just an absurd amount of work done to that Colossal.
Yeah, like, these POW 12 guns did more than they should have to this guy. But they did it. So we're still trying to figure out how we want to deal with this Blockader. At this point, I think the answer is just put stuff in front of it and hope it doesn't hit us hard. Up top, we're about to do that Shock Trooper plan, or Demo Core, that's what they're called. Demo Core plan that we talked about earlier. Hopefully take care of some of these Cinerators and put a lot of damage into the Blockader. We managed to hit, despite rolling a 3, because Blockader. We actually crushed the damage roll. We roll a 15, do a whole bunch to it. Hit the Cinerator in the back, crush him too. Crit on the other one. This is the guy that didn't get the charge bonus, but conveniently gets the shatter bonus.
So he's stationary and then dies anyway.
Kills him with that bonus.
Good thing is we don't have to keep track of that.
Yes, the best part is not keeping track of damage on multi-wound infantry, because we just one-shot all of them. Yay. Beast gonna cream these guys. We measure for Tactician. It's like, nope, that's like 13 inches away, because Annie wasn't hit by a boosted 7, which is dumb and I hate it. You might also notice at this point in the game that we're starting to get pretty low on clock. I have about 6 minutes. Craig has about 16. Beast is going to go. He's going to do his Thresher. Might as well. I mean, with Beast, if you're hitting multiple models, you might as well Thresher just because you're going to get the same number of attacks but with a higher POW. So we just do the Murderous Thresher. It's POW 19. We don't do a huge amount of damage with the axe at first.
You do stationary both.
Yep, we do stationary both, and then just kill them both with bot attacks. Yeah, and then they're gone.
No, I don't have to worry about tracking stationary.
Exactly. Gate activates. We go back and we're like, wait a second, the gate actually just gets a bunch of souls for this, and the Thamarite Archon doesn't have Soul Ward.
Yeah.
Probably because he has the, what is it? Teeth of Thamar? The one that removes souls from things?
Yeah, Thamar's Teeth.
Yeah, Thamar's Teeth. So Gate goes up to 4 souls, spends 1 to bump Beast into the zone, and then starts shooting Cinerators. We get a not great scatter. I was like, I'm not going to boost the 5 to hit, and then it completely scatters away and hits Beast instead, and then can't do damage to him, and we're like, okay, well, hubris. Don't say I don't need to boost to 5 and then roll the dice, because they will punish you. We hit the second reload, or the reload shot rather. Don't kill the initial target because it's the officer with 8 boxes, I believe.
Yeah.
And then we boost the blast damage on a guy in the back, dice off 10, need a 15 to kill.
Yep.
And we eat him. We get one of them. Unfortunately, we get that soul after the attack is resolved. So we don't get to boost on his friend with the thing we did from this particular blast. So we only killed 1 Cinerator with the gate, which is a little disappointing.
Yeah.
Destroyer is going to trundle on into the Blockader, make a single attack. He actually crit amputates, which is good because he rolled garbage for damage.
But unfortunately, he also hit, like, the 1.
Yeah, he hit a bad spot. Not a great spot. So we're not dealing with his Blockader at all this game. We're out of steam for it, and unless Beast can somehow make it to that part of the table, like next turn, that Blockader is going to be here forever.
Sort of more jamming operations. The Hermit sort of moves up into that top zone.
Yep, Hermit moves to contest because you need at least 4 more attacks in order to kill him.
Yeah.
At this point, it's Operation Don't Die, so Sorsha's going to run away and make sure that Beast is in her control area. Malakov's going to find a spot where he can sucker to Valin Hawk and also put a Veil of Mists in front of himself so that he is impossible to draw line of sight to, from the Blockader at least.
Yeah, the thing that kills him.
The thing that kills him and everything. And we're just going to try to be safe and fill the zones up with stuff. So we've got Beast in the bottom zone. We've got a bunch of stuff in the middle. Actually, 2 very damaged jacks and an objective, but that's not the point. And then we have a single infantry model with 4 wounds and a solo with 4 boxes in the top zone for you to try and clear out. And again, really low on clock. I believe I end this turn with 40 seconds left.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it until I went to hit the clock, and I was like, well, this is going to be some quick turns upcoming. And then we slap it on over to you.
Yeah.
Click.
So this turn I have 2 win conditions. If I can score 4 points, I win. And if I can clock Evan, I win. Probably don't kill Malakov, but that's probably okay as well. So the top zone is going to be interesting to deal with because of the 1 demo core in there and also the Hermit. I start doing math, being like, okay, which of these attacks can get Mad Visioned? And then I realize that Mad Vision does not apply to Infernals.
Correct. Mad Vision says non-infernal model.
So we're going to allocate 3 to the Blockader. The Blockader's job this turn is to kill 2 jacks and an objective. If I can do that, then this thing goes very well for me. So attack the dude over the wall. I actually think I missed this one. Or nope, I do. He's gone. So that's a plus. Now he's a backup plan to sort of get into the back arc of that Spriggan later on if he needs it. The Gun Mage is going to walk up, take a shot at the one box demo core, and miss the second one, oddly enough, despite getting having a Rat 8, because he is in concealment.
Yeah! Thanks, Forrest. You did a thing for me.
Now, Gibbs is going to go.
Bot unit of gun mages, right?
Well, no, I'm taking a look at this one and be like, they're going to get in the way of the Cinerators if I move up. I have a plan, so Gibbs is going to walk over there, shoot that middle Griever Swarm.
Yep, high explosive power 10,
Yep.
Kills a ton of Grievers. It's like, ooh, didn't see that one coming.
Yeah.
Oops.
So now that they're out of the way.
Gibbs the Griever Slayer this game.
Yeah. So now the Gun Mages walk up. The thing they need to do is one of them needs to put 1 damage into that demo core. First attack actually missed, so he's dodged 2 attacks so far, but the last one snipes him out. And then the next one just Thunderbolts Beast out of the zone. Second one Thunderbolts Beast and knocks him down. Does no damage.
Yep.
Thankfully.
I mean, the first one, once you knocked him down, it
Yeah.
was like, fine.
So he's good. He's out of the zone. I mean, Sorsha's like right there, so not much I can do that. But sort of looking at other situations now, I just need to remove the Hermit and also 2 semi-healthy Kador heavies. And unfortunately, the Hermit is not doing his job for me this turn. So
It's true.
the first one to throw 2 Cinerators into that Destroyer?
Destroyer, you did it. You got it right.
First one just absolutely trucks him, does a bunch of damage. Second one, similarly, trucks him and does a bunch of damage.
Leaves him on 3 boxes.
Yeah. So the Thamarite Archon is looking at the situation, being like, okay, I can probably get rid of either of these guys, or at least do some damage to it. So I'm like, can I Death Drive one of them so he can walk over and hit his friend? But
no.
Yeah, doesn't work on constructs, doesn't work on jacks. So first one, we're going to do a couple points of damage. Dice off 5. Does a few points to the Spriggan because I'm able to get in his back arc. And the second one does the same. He's taken a couple points. He's now down to like 5-ish damage. And then I now shoot the the gate with Thamar's Teeth to remove its soul token. So you can't recur Grievers in case this happens again.
Yeah. Blockader goes in and crushes some jacks. He doesn't need to do much in order to kill 2 warjacks.
And then we buy 2 attacks on the objective and
smoke it.
Yeah.
At dice plus 4? You're doing all right on those.
So my last thing I need to do is figure out a solve for the Hermit, which is going to be Ashlynn is going to charge him. With lunge, she gets 2 inches of reach. So she's going to stab him, dual attack a gunshot into him, buy 2 attacks, and score 4 points.
Yeah, and that's the game. So, learned a lot this game about Infernals. This list was more meant as like a bit of a trial for what I could do with the faction. A little bit of a preliminary to some model releases that are coming out. Like I could substitute the Howlers for Demo Corps instead. I think the Demo Corps actually are pretty fine regardless. Like they're hardy, they get the Sanguine Bond, which is something that the Howlers don't, so they're a little bit more durable, and you also get the same kind of thing with Bloodthirst out of Desperate Pace, but you do need to take an extra model for that. So there's that. There's some crazy fun tech with the feat, like you can pop out an Umbral Guardian that then takes the hit, that then gets to Poison Pill move and block a charge lane. You can then also, with the Sanguine Bond, this is just a classic Khador thing, but with the Sanguine Bond, you can take a hit, shunt the damage to something else, and then walk out of threat range with that particular model, or walk into more models that have already attacked. And then also the Hermit just getting tactical supremacy and being able to move on the feat turn if they hit it is wild. Again, better things I could have done there. The Veil of Mists on the Forest would have been huge because I would have been able to walk through my own models with it, as well as being able to... oh man, I can walk through my own models with Veil of Mists. Beast probably could have gotten to the Blockader if I'd done that. Anyways, that's not important. Again, lessons learned. But putting it on that Forest would have been great in order to get the Spriggan out of dodge when the Blockader did come to knock him around. Anyways, that's our game for this week, folks. We hope you enjoyed it. Look forward to some more Infernals in the future, especially with an Infernal Master at the helm instead. And other than that, we'll see you next week.
All right.